Today, on the VinceEverettEllison Show, we are here live at Media Squatch here in Bedford, Virginia. April Chapman told me to do a live stream, so I guess I'm going to do it because she told me to. And we're going to talk about the Virginia race and how the Republicans got the hell beat out of them. And now you can't talk racism anymore in America because the Attorney General-elect Jay Jones, black man, got elected in the capital of the old Confederacy after saying that he wanted to kill not just any old random white man. He wanted to kill the Speaker of the House and then kill his two white children too. That kind of thing used to get you hung back in the day, and Jay Jones got elected. So I won't hear about racism anymore. Yeah, we're going to talk about how Jay Jones just ended racism today on the VinceEverettEllison Show. Everybody's talking about racism in America, you can cancel that. Jay Jones got elected Attorney General of the state of Virginia after texting that he wanted to shoot a white man twice in the head. And not just any old random white man. It's the Speaker of the House of Representatives of the state of Virginia. Jay Jones said he wanted to kill him. Then he said he wanted to kill his children. And he got elected in the state of Virginia, and his office is going to be in Richmond, the capital of the former Confederacy. And you know what? And somebody's going to come out tomorrow and start saying America's a racist nation. And if they do, you just slap them in the mouth and say, "Hey, are you crazy?" Now, I'm watching this thing in Virginia, and it's amazing to me. I mean, you know, I've been talking about it for a minute. And Republicans in Virginia got to get the hell beat out of them. There ain't no way of just sliding around. They just got the living hell beat out of them. And a lot of people saying, well, it was the government shutdown. No, it wasn't. Virginia is it's basically blue now anyway because of the suburbs that are close to, D.C. I have a lot of people that work in D.C. that live in Virginia that are not from Virginia. They're from all over the place. They're basically migrants from other parts of the country, and they brought their very liberal ideologies here, and now they're controlling the election. It's just all it is to it. So when you look at the map of Virginia, it's mostly red, but when you get to those suburbs right around D.C., and they are very, very, very concentrated, and they are very, very blue. And the state tilts because of that. But also, a lot of the people in the state of Virginia stayed home. A lot of the conservatives did. And why did the conservatives stay home? They stayed home because you had yourself a person that was on the Republican ticket that was completely against the values of most Christian conservatives in this state. They don't want to talk about it, but it's true. And the guy's name was John Reed. John ran for lieutenant governor, and John Reed was openly gay. He walked around with his male partner. Glenn Youngkin is a very smart man. He's a present governor. He'll be going out. He's a Republican, and Glenn Youngkin saw the handwriting on the wall. He knew this was going to start a firestorm, and he asked John Reed to step down and have somebody else running his spot, and Reed refused. He had kind of a checkered past, some things on websites that were not very flattering. He said it wasn't his, but other people said it was. And I don't know, I think the guy was a plant myself, because whenever I see somebody in the Republican Party that is coming out and saying that they are openly gay, I always ask if they're a plant or not, because you know who this party is. You know that they have a large evangelical base, and you know that evangelical base is completely against gay marriage, it's against the gay lifestyle. It just is. And they do it based upon Christian principles. That's just a fact. And if you run a gay person on the Republican ticket, a lot of those people are going to stay at home. It's a fact. When Mitt Romney ran against Barack Obama, 2012, same thing. A lot of evangelicals are not going to vote for a Mormon. Whether it's right or wrong is irrelevant. It is just a fact. They see Mormonism as a sect and a cult. Whether you believe it or not is irrelevant. That's how they see it. And because of that, I think about 4 to 5 million evangelicals stayed at home during that election and didn't vote for Barack Obama or for Mitt Romney. And of course, Barack Obama benefited from that and walked off with the presidency. And this was the same situation. You know, we already had a very, very weak candidate. They didn't have a primary system here in the state of Virginia. They go into the back rooms and they choose who they want to be in these slots. The person they chose for lieutenant governor, he got sick, and John Reed was second in line and took the guy's place without a primary. He had already told everybody, you know, he put his business out there in the street telling everybody that he was gay. And I don't understand why you do that. I just don't understand that, man. I don't know why you don't keep your business to yourself. I was brought up to understand that there were certain things you didn't talk about in polite company. And how much money you had, your religion, your ailments, and how you got down. Oh, not these jokers. They want to tell you how they get down, who they get down with, how often they get down, and then when you judge them by it, they're going to say, hey, man, how come you tripping? And you know that the evangelical base here in Virginia is serious about this stuff. And what do the stupid Republicans do? Put it at the top of the ticket. And then when they lose, they say, man, hey, man, what happened? Hell, I'll tell you what happened. Good God. So, Spanberg is a pervert lover. You know, she wants to have little girls go in the bathroom with men. And I told my daughter, I said, let me tell you something. You go into a bathroom, you see a man in that bathroom, you get the hell out of there and you come get me. Don't you stay in that bathroom. You see a man in there. That's a damn shame I got to tell my daughter some stuff like that. If you walk in there and you see a man flip it out, run, come get me. And I saw that, I don't know if y'all saw that video of that woman at Gold's Gym. And this woman's a lesbian, and she got mad because there was a man inside the waiting room, black woman. And she complained about it, Gold's Gym kicked her out. And this is the thing that I want these women to understand. This is not theory. There are demented men out there who assault women. If you allow them into your spaces, it ain't like a lot of times you go into these bathrooms and there are like 20 women in there. You might go into a bathroom by yourself and there's a dude in that bathroom. You mean to tell me you're going to stay in there with him? You need to get your stuff, get the hell out of there. And then hope that you got your daddy or your husband or your brother around that's going to go in there and grab him by the nape of the neck and throw him out. But I digress. So anyway, this was a one-issue campaign. Winsome Sears and all of them just talked about the transgender issue. Yeah, that is a hot issue, but there are other things you can talk about that are just as powerful. School choice, immigration, fentanyl on the street, castrating little boys and calling them little girls, 9-month abortion. All of this stuff should have been added to the roster of things that you were complaining about when it came down to talking about and drilling these Democrats. But the number one thing they didn't do, first thing they should have done a year ago, go right into the black community and tell the black community what the Democratic Party is doing to them. You don't mention candidates. You don't mention Spanberger, Jay Jones. You talk about the Democratic Party because that's who the black people vote for. They don't vote for candidates, y'all. They vote for the party. You must attack the party. How do I know? That's how we win South Carolina. How do I know? That's how we win Georgia. How do I know? That's how we win Mississippi. How do I know that? Because I was involved in it when we put that plan together 30 years ago. And it works. And I've tried to talk to these morons here in Virginia and Maryland about it, but you can't tell them anything. They have the same percentage of black people in Virginia, more or less, as they do in South Carolina, as they do in Georgia and Mississippi. But South Carolina, Georgia, Mississippi wins, Alabama, Virginia, Maryland does not. You know why? Because they don't know how to play politics. They don't know how to take the message to black folks and tell them exactly who the Democratic Party is and tell them it's time for y'all to cut these perverts, liars, psychopaths, anti-Christian bigots, thugs, hoes, and rappers are loose. So, in South Carolina, Number one, they have primaries. So a guy like John Reed would have never got through the primary in South Carolina. I mean, he would have never got through. Would have never got through it. You got to earn your keep in these places. You have to come up before the people and make your case. Instead, Virginia likes to do this backroom stuff where they choose the candidates, and you see what happens when you do it. The people don't get the people in the state, they don't get a chance to decide. No, the movers and the shakers, the lobbyists, those people, they make their decision. And now you see what's happened? They've fallen flat on their faces. It's good for them, and until they get together and sit down and talk about this and bring real people in to tell them what the problems are and how they're going to be solved, they're going to keep on losing. It's not because of our ideas. Our ideas are better than theirs. Talking about the government shutting down. I'm going to give you an example of how stupid Republicans are. Okay. Republicans have voted probably about 15 times to open up the government. Democrats have voted about 15 times to keep it closed. Yet, the Republicans are being blamed for closing the government. Now, how you figure? You know why? Because they want to get up there and talk about CRs, voting for the thing 3 times before, and this time voting against it. Want to talk about why Chuck Schumer is doing it. Nobody want to hear that, man. You're supposed to get in the mic and say this very simply. Hey, today the Republicans voted to open up the government, and the Democrats voted to keep it closed. End of story. Binary. Tell every stupid Republican up there to say the same thing when somebody puts a microphone in their face. We voted today to open up the government, but the illegal immigrants told the Democrats to keep it closed, and the Democrats care more about illegal immigrants than they do the American people, and walk off. Next day, the Republicans and I voted to open up the government today. We voted to open it. We voted to open it. The Democrats voted to keep it closed because the illegal immigrants told them to do it because they want another $1 trillion. Next day, we voted to open up the government today. Say it all day long. After a while, the American people are going to start saying it. We, the Republican Party, voted to open up the government today, and the Democratic Party voted to keep it closed. You've heard me say them suckers can't sell $1 for 50 cents. I told you the Democratic Party has to be the evilest party in the history of the world, and the Republican Party got to be the stupidest. The Republican Party can't give money away. They cannot give you school choice, which is equivalent to about $20,000 a year to educate your child the way you want to. They can't even sell that. So, you got yourself a party that one that's evil and insane, and one that's just flat out stupid. You had a governor named Abigail Spanberger who got the black Christian vote and admitted that she believed in 9-month abortion, admitted that she believed in castrating little boys, calling them little girls, going to let the public education system groom your children. That means that your boy can leave the house with pants and shirt on, and they take him to school and let him change into a dress, high heels, and put rouge on his face, and they won't tell you nothing about it. Everybody walked around, tiptoed around, and didn't force this guy Reed to get out of the race, which they should have done, because I knew it was going to really suppress the evangelical vote here in the state, which is about 1/3 of the whole Republican Party base. Oh no, but not them. And all of them got the hell beat out of them. Jay Jones should be going to jail for conspiracy to commit murder. Instead, he's going to the Attorney General's office. And hey Jay, I ain't mad at you, player. Got to applaud you. They threw them text messages on you. You came out like a champ. You didn't quit. Ain't mad at you. Ain't trying to cast no shade on you. But that just shows you how feckless the Republican Party is in the state of Virginia. Outspent, didn't have any money, Democrats spent like 3 times more money than they did. Man, it's that gum shit. And then you got this Mamdani guy up inside of New York. I mean, I expected that to happen because all of the people with good sense have left New York. If you got money and good sense, you out of New York. I remember that Kurt Russell movie, Escape from New York, back in the 80s, where they just decided to take a razor wire and put it around New York City and just make it a prison. And the President of the United States of America's plane, Air Force One, went down in the city, and Isaac Hayes them kidnapped him, and Kurt Russell had to go in and get him out. It's silly as hell, but it was entertaining. But it was apocalyptic. And now Mamdani is going to turn New York City probably into that because everybody's sure going to leave. Now he's talking about a $30 minimum wage, so all the businesses are going to leave. He's talking about having a government-run grocery store, which means all the grocery stores are going to leave. He's talking about defunding the police, so all the people who don't want to get robbed and jacked and shot are going to leave. He's talking about taxing the rich, so all the rich people are going to leave. I mean, Sean Hannity left New York because he's been taxed too much. They sure enough going to tax him now. So Rush left before he died. All these people left New York City because the taxes are too high. And what does Mamdani say he's going to do? He's going to raise the taxes some more. He's telling all of the immigrants to come to New York City. You know why? Because we'll give you free stuff. Now, to us, that might not be a real big deal, but if you lived in a grass hut all your life and been using the bathroom in a hole in the ground, yeah, coming to New York City and having a 1-bedroom apartment and getting free food and free medical care might sound like a pretty good deal. Because Mamdani is saying, come up here and you will never be hungry again. That's what's happening in New York City. Guy ran on the fact he was a socialist and a communist and won. So I told you I wanted Mamdani to win because I think this is going to be a great testament, and we're going to be able to really look in real time at what socialism is. And when the people of America see it, they're not going to like it, and it's going to give us more of a push in the midterms and in 2028. Now, unless the Republicans mess it up, which they are, oh man. I had to catch myself. Mamdani can turn New York City into Haiti. He can turn New York City into the Congo. And somehow or another, Republicans are going to screw it up so bad that Mamdani is going to blame them for it. Everything bad that happened in New York City for the next 4 years, Mamdani is going to blame the Republicans for it. And the Republicans are going to be so stupid, they're going to be able to explain how they are not responsible for it. Just like now, people not getting their SNAP benefits, even though the Republican Party has voted 15 times to give it to them. But somehow or another, they getting blamed for the people not having their SNAP. How can you be that stupid? They have voted over and over again to give the people the SNAP benefits, to pay the air traffic controllers, to do it all. Yet, if you put a mic in somebody's mouth on the street, this is a Republican that's doing it, Republican. You say, hey, shoot, man. So, all the goodwill, everything that has happened since Trump got in office was wasted. You know, and I already knew, I mean, ain't no Republican gonna win up in New York City. I mean, and you know, Cuomo got kicked out he had to resign as governor. He was just a Democrat anyway, so whether it was him or Mamdani, it didn't matter. Curtis Leewell wasn't going to win. He was a Republican. That's not going to happen. They haven't had a Republican in office up in New York City since Rudy, and Rudy did a great job. So you have this crazy situation up there where a lot of immigrants have gotten into New York City, and most of these immigrants have a socialist mindset. And this is why at the end of the American Revolution, Thomas Jefferson them said that we don't want a lot of people migrating to America because they're going to come here with a monarchist mindset. They're going to believe in the king, and we don't want that. We don't want these people coming here starting revolution. We don't want these people coming here raising hell. let's limit immigration so that we can bring enough people here to indoctrinate them into the American way of life. We don't want them to come over here and override us like we did the Indians. That's how smart they were, and they didn't do it. That's not what's happening now. Right now, sanctuary cities like New York and Chicago are telling all of these socialist-minded immigrants to come up to the city. And when these people get there, they expect to be treated that way. Not as capitalists. No, they believe in socialism. They want to come up there and they want the government to give them free stuff. That's why they're coming. People say they're coming to work. No, they're coming to get free stuff and work as little as possible to get it. And Mamdani has promised it to them. Now, once they get up there and start asking for it, he's going to have to tax the hell out of the rich in order to give it to them. And this is why rich people are leaving. So they're going to try to do little tricky stuff like this. They're going to fix it where if you sell your house, you probably going to have to pay like 50% of it in taxes, try to make people stay, see? They'll try to do stuff like that to keep you from selling your house, so you have to stay up there. So you'll have to have enough money to buy another house somewhere else. You won't be able to sell your house inside of New York City and then take the proceeds of that one and buy a house somewhere else. Those are the kind of slick things that liberals do to try to force people to stay where they are, even if they don't want to stay there. So they're going to do things like that. They're going to try to tax you if you leave the state. They're going to try to tax businesses if they try to leave the state. They're going to try to do stuff like that. So this is going to be interesting, y'all. Y'all need to watch exactly what's going on now, because these socialists have taken over the Democratic Party, and we got to see how they rule. You got to determine whether or not you like LA the way it is, San Francisco the way that it is, because they want to make the whole nation that way. You got to determine whether you want the whole nation to be Chicago, Detroit, Philadelphia. Man, I was in Philadelphia, and I'm going to tell you something. I was in probably the most high-end part of Philly about maybe 2 weeks ago. And it was a great event down there. I had an opportunity to speak at Independence Hall, where they signed the Declaration of Independence. If you go to my channel, you'll see that I have the speech there, and you can watch it. And but while I was there, I went out to dinner at this very, very nice restaurant right beside the Ritz-Carlton in Philadelphia. Very high-end place. A lot of people with tuxedos on and whatnot. Well, they were just walking around, and I looked, and there was a guy laying on the street. I mean, not on the corner, not up against the wall. He's just laying right in the middle of the street in a fetal position. People just walking past him. I looked over at the guy. I mean, I'm from a small town. I was looking at people just walk past the dude. I said, the dude could be dead. So I walked up to the dude and said, hey, man, you all right? He's like, hey, leave me alone. I said, yeah, that's cool. I'm telling you this story because they want the whole country to be that way. People just laying in the street, people just walking, stepping over them. I'm walking in Philadelphia, and I'm looking at these people with all of this money and education just walking past people that sit in the street, homeless, mumbling to themselves. They just walk right past each other. That's a liberal city. You go to San Francisco, same thing. They want the nation to be this way. They think that's a utopia, y'all. Mamdani, all these liberals, Chicago, they're going to try to make the whole state of Virginia that way. They're going to have a difficult time coming into the Blue Ridge Mountains doing it, I can tell you that. They're not going to go for it. But this is who these people are. I pray that one day the proper conservatives will take over the Republican Party and take over the messaging. The proper conservatives that are not afraid to go talk to Hispanics and Black Americans and all people and tell them and show them how the Democratic Party has never meant them any good, how this is an evil institution, what they have done to the Black community, and how they plan to do this to the whole nation. I hope that one day the people of God will come together and form a proper coalition to run these weak, imbecilic people out of the Republican Party and use its power to explain to the world that this party has never, ever had one thing in this platform, ever, to hurt black people. The Democratic Party had all kinds of stuff about segregation, keeping us from voting, all white primaries, all kind of stuff like that. They've always been evil toward us. Tell them the history of this party, how it was the Democratic Party that said that we were nothing but property. We were like a goat or a cart. And that the black man had no rights that the white man need adhere to, from the Dred Scott case in the Supreme Court. And that the Republican Party came about to stop it. And that even now, the Democratic Party traps our children in failing schools. They abort half of our children. Of the ones that survive, they give the mothers incentive to run the fathers out of the home so the children grow up fatherless. And they're not protected as they grow up in this cruel, cruel world. The young ladies are ravaged and have a high body count before they're 18, 19 years old, some of them with 3 and 4 children from different men. And the Democrats see this as good. And the Republican Party cannot take that type of dystopia and show it to America and say, this is something that you don't want. We are an alternative. We are better. This is why I don't call myself a Republican, y'all. Sometimes I slip up and say we, but I'm thinking about the party years ago, not this one. This party is feckless. It is a shambles. And especially here in Virginia. And it is a shame. Our ideals are better, our people are better, but our candidates are trash. And our messaging is worse than trash. And it showed itself here in the state of Virginia last night. And I hope everybody around the country is watching so they can learn from the mistakes of the Republican Party here in the state of Virginia. I hope that they're watching in Mississippi, in Alabama, in California, everywhere. I hope they understand that you can't put people on the ballot that goes against the mores and values of the people who are supposed to be voting for him. Hope you know that you have to do more than have one issue in a campaign. I hope you know that you cannot be going to war with the leader of the National Party, which they were doing with Donald Trump. And I hope you understand that you have to go down to the minority community that never gets an opportunity to hear your message, and you have to start now telling them what you're going to do. Not 2 weeks before the election, you start it now. And if you do that, the people will respond to it. Now, I hope you're listening, because I'm going to keep bringing this message to you, and I'm going to keep going and going and going, because I'm here to wake you up. I hope I did you some good here today. Y'all, we're chasing 100,000. We're very, very close. Who knows, by the time you see this, we might be there. I want to thank you for all you've done. I want to thank all of my subscribers, all of the viewers, all of my listeners. Y'all go check us out on Facebook, because we're putting some hot reels there that you can check out. Thank you. Subscribe, share, comment, and I'll see you again for another edition of the Vince Everett Ellison Show.